How much did you earn in 2024? What should I spend the new retention payment on? And is this payment racist? Answer to these and more coming up. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Savvy Squaddie. In this end of year video, I'll be answering some of your questions, as well as revealing what happens when you upset a subset of a certain cohort. First up, thank you to the nearly 10,000 of you who are subscribed to this channel, and the over 14,000 of you who follow me on Instagram. Your endless support helps grow this channel, which in turn reaches new people and continues to have the positive impact on the lives of serving personnel and their families. As I did with 5,000 subscribers, once we hit 10,000, I will do another giveaway, most likely of the financial kind, so make sure you are subscribed and stay tuned for that, especially as around 77% of you are not subscribed. Congrats on your growth, the page is amazing. Attracted any haters yet? I would say there are a few usual suspects that will consistently post something negative, which is fine. It tends to be directed at the topic I'm covering rather than me. Of the little criticism I do get, the main point is that I am a paid voice by the MOD pushing their message, almost like a psyop. That is complete bullshit. Never mind the fact that if that was the case, I would legally have to disclose it on every post I have been paid to do, but also the MOD would not be paying for content in which I openly take the piss out of many different cohorts within the military and call people c***s. Although I haven't done the latter in a while, I'm slacking. At the end of the day, a hater is just a confused admirer, and regardless of their motivations, I appreciate the engagement as it helps the channel grow. How much did you earn in 2024? The brand earns income from a number of different sources. The main one most people would think about when it comes to YouTube is ad revenue, which varies wildly, but this year has averaged out at around £4 per 1,000 views. Currently, most videos get around 2,000 views, so that's £8 per video. Depending on the topic, it can take around 15 hours to create a video from start to finish. That's 53p per hour. Ad revenue this year brought in just over £1,000. Other streams of revenue I have are Buy Me a Coffee, and I have made £125 this year from that, so thank you to all of those that have supported me in that way. I have YouTube members. At the moment the benefit is just early access to the videos, but I do hope to expand the perks in the future. That has brought me in £24. And I have various referral links in my video descriptions which people can use to sign up to services I use, and we both get a bonus for doing so. That's brought in around £150 this year. So in total around £1,300. Of course there are then expenses that come with this, which will only grow with time, but hopefully so does the revenue. Do you offer unit briefs? I do. This year actually saw me do my first one up in Catterick. Seemed to have gone down well. 2 more units are lined up for the new year, with a third in discussion. If you think this is something people in your unit would benefit from, then reach out via the email on screen. Because the Savvy Squaddie is a private venture I do in my free time, these presentations I give have to be when I'm off duty. So for the one I have already done and the upcoming 2, I have had to use my individual leave allowance to facilitate them. This means I can really only do a handful per year, because I think my wife would kill me if I spent all of my leave with other people rather than my family. What is happening with the NAO? Some background first for those who might not know what the NAO is, and this will also allow me to spin a dit about my first experience of having a complaint put in against me. So in early 2024, we saw the introduction, pause and review of the new accommodation offer. This was a complete overhaul of how serving personnel and their families are housed. It was met with quite a bit of backlash. Some of the concerns were valid. Due to the issues, the rollout for many of the changes was paused and it's still under review. When the NAO was announced, I released a video explaining it, and then I removed the video once the changes and pause happened, as it would be irresponsible to keep it live with outdated and no longer accurate information. This was also the video which sparked a complaint against me. I find it funny that throughout the 3 years I've been making videos, poking fun and incorporating the military banter into those videos, directed at everyone from BODs to seniors, to the RLC, who I am a part of, to infantry, it was the officers that couldn't hack being the butt of the joke. Anyway, an emotionally challenged man-child submitted a complaint citing the usual catch-all phrases of failed values and standards and all that weak-ass pish, and demanding that I be disciplined by the chain of command. Thankfully, the third-party lieutenant colonel reviewing the complaint was able to look at what I said impartially and found that referring to officers as butthurt, when by definition they were, was not an issue in this context. So nothing came of it. Thankfully, the system does work. That was a weird week though. In the space of a few days, I had the unacceptable behaviours team in my inbox, and then a one-on-one with a Major General who had become aware of my page and wanted to personally thank me for what I do. A smaller stripped-back version of the NAO was then released under the renamed Modernised Accommodation Offer, which I also made a video on, and that hasn't been removed. We should hopefully hear more on that in the coming year and the direction in which it's moving, and once that information is public, I will do a piece on it. I have received quite a few questions about the newly announced retention payment for those entering their 4th year. I will link below the video explaining it if you have not already watched it and want to learn more. Excluding GERTAP is clearly racist. How can they get away with that? Short answer is they're not being racist. Gurkhas are being excluded from the payment because retention is not an issue within that cohort. A scheme like this will have to go through many clearance boards before being approved, one of them being legal. The MOD is not going to open themselves up this easily to a lawsuit on what would have been an obvious point of discussion during the clearance phase. It really doesn't take that much critical thinking to come to the logical conclusion that they are being excluded based off of retention data, the same data that is excluding the majority of the f***ing army. Race has nothing to do with it. Will there be any retention payments for those who have done more than 14 years? I have no insider information, but I would say probably not. My reasoning for this is that at the 14-year point and beyond, people start to enter the pension trap. Yes, it's real, even under the 15 scheme. That trap is the retention payment. People who leave before their 2040 EDP point will be losing out on hundreds of thousands of pounds. The prospect of that money is enough to keep most people retained. So, funneling taxpayers' money to a cohort which is already well retained will not be the best use of the limited resources available to the MOD. That's not to say it won't ever happen, I just think it's unlikely to. Do you think the financial retention is worth it? I think that depends on the person. Personally, if I was in their shoes, I would take it because I'm staying in anyway, so it's worth it in that case. For those on the fence, they need to decide for themselves. They need to ask the questions like, what job could I realistically secure in Savvy Street if I leave now? How much does it pay? Is the employer pension contribution competitive? Where will I live? How much will that cost? How much will the transport cost? And so on. By having answers to these questions, they can then properly weigh up whether £5,700 net is worth it for another 3 years of service. Also worth mentioning that by staying in for those 3 years, they will increase their total annual pension by around £2,000, which then, depending on how long they live once the pension is in payment, could add up to an extra £30,000 or more over that time. But the reality is that most young people don't think this far ahead, and most people who leave as soon as they are able to will be financially worse off than if they stayed in. The data doesn't lie, and a private soldier living in the block with no dependents is better off than 60% of the UK population in terms of disposable income, and that is on a salary of £25,800. Most people getting out after 4 years will find it very hard to walk into a job that keeps them in or above that threshold. So, if by taking this money, those on the fence then use the next 3 years to actually make an exit plan, which will leave them better off, then I also think it's worth it in that case. It gives them more time to mature, gain experience, invest in themselves, increase the value they can offer, all whilst being in the top 60% of the UK population. What should I spend my retention bonus on? I mean, that's up to you. I'm not someone who advocates to never enjoy the money you earn, but I would say don't waste it all. Put some of it towards a goal. For example, if you are looking to buy your first home in the next few years, perhaps put £4,000 in a lifetime ISA. This way you will receive the maximum 25% government bonus of £1,000. Just keep in mind the rules of a LISA. You can only withdraw the money for buying your first home or retirement. Any other reasons incur a cost, so you'll lose the bonus plus a bit extra. The remaining amount could then be for some fun. Perhaps like me, you have a goal of being able to retire in your 40s, and so this injection of cash would be helpful to speed up that process by investing it via a stocks and shares ISA. I have a video on ISAs which I will link below. I also have an investing playlist which can help. Having financial goals will help you allocate this money. Not having goals will see you probably waste most of it. Personally, I would enjoy some of it, but invest most of it. This leads us nicely onto the next question about benefiting from compounding over a 24-year career. I have a whole video explaining this concept, which I will link below. I think for someone starting out, whilst they are living in SLA with all financial responsibilities, their savings/investing rate should be high. This way it will benefit the most from compounding. Then the rate will decrease as more responsibilities are introduced, perhaps a house, marriage, kids, etc. The key is not to stop though. Continue, but just at a reduced rate. Something is better than nothing. Before my kids were born, I invested £600 per month. That's now down to £200. I didn't start investing until I was partway through my 5th year of service, so I missed out on a lot of compound growth. If I was joining now, I would be putting away anywhere between £800 to £1,000 per month whilst I could. I will do an updated video where I go through a 24-year career scenario and how much one could realistically expect to accumulate over that period. Is EDP monthly or yearly? The EDP payment is monthly, but the amount quoted on the pension calculator and forecast will be the annual amount. Just divide it by 12. EDP income is also taxable, so the figures shown are gross and not net. Unsure what EDP is? Link below to the video explaining this benefit. And the last question for today, what investing platform do you recommend? Currently I use 3 different ones, Vanguard, eToro and Trading 212. However, Vanguard have recently announced they are increasing their fees, which makes other platforms much more attractive. So I'm currently in the process of transferring my Vanguard stocks and shares ISA to Trading 212, and that will now be my main platform that I use. My kids' junior ISAs are still with Vanguard, as they are still quite competitive, and the increase in fees does not affect those accounts. eToro was the first platform I used, and this was because at the time it was the best option for what I wanted. However, Trading 212 has caught up and now meets my needs on that front. Unfortunately, I am unable to transfer my account from eToro to Trading 212, otherwise I would. So I don't invest via eToro at the moment, but I still have a substantial amount of my portfolio with them. For most, Trading 212 is a great option. There is a sign up link in the description below. I will probably do a walkthrough video on the platform this coming year. Thank you to all those who submitted questions. Sorry I can't get to all of them, I tend to answer the most common and quirky ones. Thank you all for supporting me these last 3 years, and I hope that I'm able to continue to provide value to your lives in 2025 and beyond. Make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for the 10,000 subscriber giveaway. Hopefully we get there by the end of Q1 2025. Thank you all for watching. If you liked what you just saw, please hit the subscribe button up there, and if you want to see some more videos, click over there. See you soon.